Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Crypto Crow. It's about 11:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, where are my glasses? I think my glasses are not down here. So I'm going this blind. No, I'm not. I'm not that blind. But anyway, today's video, I'm going to talk about a few different things, but I am going to target coronavirus a bit. There seems to be a lot of misconceptions, and there's a lot of stuff happening around the virus and other viruses, which I find very peculiar, if not a little scary. But, I was talking to my wife this evening. We were watching the show The Hunters with Al Pacino. This has become our new favorite show. I mean, if you're not watching The Hunters on Amazon Prime, you're really missing something. Not only is it educational and based on fact, but it's just an insanely good show. I mean, it's entertaining. It's an emotional. I mean, we were both crying tonight, like watching the show. I mean, it was just so good. I'm not going to say anything to give anything away, but like we were both teasing each other because we were, it was just really sad. I mean, like there's just so, it's so dramatic. But the idea that all this stuff happened, I mean, really, just how disgusting these Nazis were, and just, and it's just great to see the sweet revenge. But anyway, Bitcoin's obviously falling. I just read this big article about what all these technical analysts think. And it was a 7-hour-old article. Well, it was published 7 hours ago. So I don't know how, over the course of the day, I assume all these people were interviewed. Every one of these people were wrong. I mean, according to all these people, well, one of them said that if this happens, then we could go down to 8,800. So I drew a line at 8,800. And it was such a if this then that type piece, but pretty much every one of these big technical analysts, they're all wrong. Like, oh well, one guy, I expect it to bounce from here based off of RSI and this and that. Didn't happen. Like, everything they said was wrong. I didn't even keep the article open because I'm like, everybody was wrong. Like, there's no reason to even go over it in detail. I mean, Bitcoin's dropping and there's a lot going on in the market. And the one thing that I wanted to point out, first of all, 6 Supreme Court judges infected with the H1N1. This is swine flu. Pretty sure. H1N1 just before Bitcoin case. Astonishing reports are coming out of India's mainstream media that says 6 Supreme Court judges are suspected to have the influenza virus H1N1, better known as swine flu or the Spanish flu. 6 judges are down with the H1N1 virus. Justice I'm not even going to try. Announced in court, adding that all judges had a meeting with Chief Justice S.A. Bodhi to discuss the situation. One judge, Sanjeev Khanna, came to court wearing a mask, reported news agency IANS, says Indian's broadcaster NDTV. The above was reported by other Indian media, including the Times of India, that said 6 judges of the Supreme Court are suffering from swine flu, following which they did not attend court, an apex court judge said on Tuesday. That's not a good news, wishing them a speedy recovery. A hearing on the long-running crypto case was to be heard, but the situation in India seems to have become explosive, with Delhi effectively burning. A mosque has been set on fire in the Indian capital, New Delhi, as violent protests continue across the city, with the death toll rising to 13. Flu politics. So that's happening in India. And obviously we have this huge coronavirus outbreak going on. And this came out today. This was came out in Independent 8 hours ago. This might be bad. U.S. officials finally admit coronavirus will be a pandemic, with schools and businesses forced to close. And in the article, it basically discusses the idea that it really isn't a pandemic, but we're heading that direction. So it hasn't been officially announced as a pandemic just yet. A lot of the concern around the coronavirus is basically like so there's a mix of things going on, okay? And this is important stuff. And even though it's not very crypto related, I felt I just needed I needed to try and inform people. And so I did a bunch of reading and a lot of back and forth. And I've discovered it seems like there's a lot of misconceptions about this coronavirus, in part partially due to the big social media hype around Dean Koontz's novel from, like, I don't know, back in 81. I can't even remember. Basically saying that he predicted this happening and that the virus, like the Wuhan 400 or whatever it was called. I have something I'll show you in a minute. But that it had like 100% death toll. It was just all sorts of stuff, right? And so a lot of people that are reading this on social media are then going out and discussing a lot of these facts, quote unquote, facts about the coronavirus as though it is this virus found in Dean Koontz's book, okay? And so there's so much misconception about the virus. The reality is, so we are basically saying, look, we're getting ready just in case, okay? So the United States government has basically said, look, this could become a pandemic. We've got our eye on it. We're working on doing things. I know that Trump is working on getting, I think like $5.5 or $3.5 billion dollars to try and help fight this, to make sure that, we're doing everything we need to do to stay safe and keep it out of the country, yada, yada, yada. So government's working on it. Cool. But this is what I wanted to touch on a bit first. Verified. Dean Koontz did not predict the coronavirus outbreak in his 1981 book. So, I'm going to read some of this stuff, and then I'm going to get to the meat. So, a deadly outbreak involving a new coronavirus named COVID-19 is now being connected to an unlikely person, author Dean Koontz. Specifically, people claim he predicted decades ago this current outbreak, which has been traced to Wuhan, China. Some eagle-eyed fans recently started pointing out a passage from his 1981 book, The Eyes of Darkness, that discusses a virus called Wuhan 400. Now, basically, and this article goes on to just discredit this whole claim, that there are really no similarities whatsoever other than, and that the Google Books preview of the 1981 original describes a virus called Gorky 400, named after the Russian city where it was created. It was later changed to be Wuhan 400. So there's no real even correlation to Wuhan, China, for this virus, this fictional virus in his book. Now, outside of that, there are a lot of other claims and just complete fallacies. Basically saying that the virus has a 100% mortality rate. That's not true. It's actually about 3%. Okay, so the coronavirus has taken approximately 3% of the total infected. This is ultimately, and a lot of people are saying, well, coronavirus isn't actually the name of this particular virus. Coronavirus is the name given to a multiple strands of similar viruses. Okay, so there's some of that stuff. Let me see here. The question, the answer. While it is true the virus in his book originated in Wuhan, that's about where the similarities end. However, Wuhan 400 wasn't even the name of the virus in the original book. And so I discussed that. A new version of the book with a copyright of 1996 indeed calls it Wuhan 400. And while the virus in the Koontz novel was created in a lab, there's no evidence COVID-19 is man-made. So, and that was another thing. Here's the thing. To my knowledge, man-made viruses are the only viruses that basically die when they're airborne, such as HIV. Okay, so you want to talk about a man-made virus that killed a lot of people? I believe HIV is one of them. And that's a whole other conspiracy for another time. But typically, as I understand it, only man-made viruses die when they're airborne. Everything else can basically, they have, I don't know, you want to call it a shelf life or a stay life. If somebody touches something or whatever, it typically sticks around for a little while, such as the coronavirus that we're talking about now. The fictional virus in the books only impacts humans and no other living creature can carry it. The Center for Disease Control says past coronaviruses like SARS and MERS, both coronaviruses, originated in animals and believe this coronavirus to be no different. The book's virus also can't survive outside of a body for longer than a minute. A previous verify showed the CDC estimated the current coronavirus had a lifespan in the range of hours outside of the human body. I actually recently watched another scientist describing the coronavirus as having the potential to live outside of the human body for up to 9 days, depending on what's going on, the environment, and so forth. Another strike against this prediction is that the book's mortality rate of nearly 100%. Well, okay, it's actually 3%. So Dean Koontz had nothing to do with this. Dean Koontz didn't predict this. This is all bunk. And there's been a lot of confusion spread because of this. Now, this is something else I'm going to touch on here in a minute. But anyway, I was doing some digging on the coronavirus because I was looking up its mortality rate. My wife and I were talking about it tonight, and she's like, how many people is this thing killing? And there's been a lot of back and forth. Nobody seems to know exactly what's going on because the news and the media all over the place are basically covering up a lot of the severity, I believe, to this virus. I think ultimately because, look, we had swine flu. That was going to take out the whole world. It didn't. They had SARS. That didn't take out the world. MERS. That didn't take out the world. And these are similar strands. The thing about viruses is they can morph. I mean, they can change over time. Even the HIV virus, according to what was put out in the public for years and years and years, is that part of the struggle in curing it or vaccinating against it and so forth was the fact that it would mutate so rapidly. Once you figured out something to do with the one mutation, another existed. And it was like almost like it was combating any effort to try and fight it, and it was getting stronger and changing. It was very elusive. So, but all of these, MERS and SARS, they're all basically a coronavirus. It's a form of coronavirus. So, but at the end of it all, you're looking at a 3% mortality rate. So, and my guess is, if I were to dive a little deeper, my guess is that the mortality rate overall is either, I'm going to assume people with a predisposition to the virus of some kind, elderly, and I'm guessing potentially as sad and disgusting as it is, young children. But I don't know. I don't remember. I don't understand. I don't know the science to young children and their immunity, right? Their immunity to things. I guess it just depends on how young they are. So while this is scary, I do think it will end up being contained. I don't think this is going to become some pandemic that takes over the world. Now, this is one thing that I wanted to address as well, because I've been seeing this pop up. People referencing the Georgia Guidestones. Now, there was a period a long time ago, many years ago, where I studied the Georgia Guidestones quite a bit. I was always doing some digging. I was always digging, trying to find, all of the information I could about these things. I'll read a little bit, and I'm going to go straight to what they say. The Georgia Guidestones are a granite monument erected in 1980 in LBRY County, Georgia, in the United States. A set of 10 guidelines is inscribed on the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient scripts. The monument stands at an approximate elevation of 750 feet above sea level, about 90 miles east of Atlanta, 45 miles from Athens, Georgia, and 9 miles north of the center of the city of Elberton. One slab stands in the center with 4 arranged around it. A capstone lies on the top of the 5 slabs, which are astronomically aligned. An additional stone tablet, which is set in the ground a short distance to the west of the structure, provides some notes on the history and purpose of the Guidestones. The structure is sometimes referred to as the American Stonehenge. The monument is 19 feet, 3 inches tall. Okay, so very, very, very tall. Here's what it says. This just talks about somebody defacing it, doing some graffiti and things like that, which is actually a pretty ballsy move. But so this is basically what the Georgia Guidestone says, and it says this in a lot of different languages. Okay, even some ancient scripts. Okay, number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Well, we already know that this is full of shit, because our society as a whole struggles so much with diversity, racism. It's actually quite shocking to see how much racism and what's the word I'm looking for? Like counter diversity, right? People are just generally not accepting of other people. And so number 2 is bunk to me. Unite humanity with a living new language. That is interesting to me, but I don't know what that could possibly be outside of music. So, okay, rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Well, you know what? I mean, the fact that this was put in the United States, which is a country that, imprisons pretty much everybody for a bad fart, I don't really know if this is true either, right? I mean, all these different countries all over the place are just imprisoning everybody. I just think that we are probably one of the only countries actually profiting from it, when the actual opposite should be the case. Our country, people should not be profiting from imprisonment of other people, of other human beings, for any reason. It should, in fact, in my opinion, be costly to imprison people. It should be, there are so many people that have been imprisoned for the dumbest shit on earth. I was actually just having a talk today with a friend of mine who cut my hair, talking about how, he knows people that are still doing time for pot. Guys that have never hurt anybody. They're not robbers, bankers, rapists, murderers. They're nothing. They smoked a little grass, or they had a little grass, and they're doing time for it. They're in prison. Their freedom, everything, destroyed over pot. That's now becoming legal all over the place, right? I mean, it's just disgusting. So this, to me, this number 4 has obviously been completely ignored. Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Never going to happen. I just don't see it ever happening. For the reasons I just explained and everything else. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Okay, that would be wonderful. That's kind of what the United Nations does, I think, to a certain extent, but I don't think it's not really a court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Well, I really hope that the Georgia Guidestones aren't referencing the United States, because to be quite frank with you, we have more petty laws, I think, than anybody. We have laws about engaging extraterrestrial life. What's the point? Are they worried about something escaping from a lab or something somewhere and somebody playing ping pong with it? I don't understand why. I mean, we have so many stupid laws. I just feel like a part of it is just for, I don't know. I really don't even understand the point. It's all a form of control, but avoid petty laws and useless officials. I mean, give me a break, man. We're wrought with them. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Okay, somebody does too much DMT. That's all I know. Be not cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. I mean, it sounds like a rich hippie that drops DMT every once in a while decided to spend some money to make people think and to get people talking. A lot of people are attributing the Georgia Guidestones as kind of a roadmap, if you will, to the New World Order. Look, first of all, half of this list is bunk. It's never, ever going to happen. I think it's a grand idea, but what a lot of people are more fearful, a lot of people ignore all of this and they just focus on this. Maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. Well, first of all, who's to say that that is going to create a perpetual balance with nature? But outside of that, a lot of people believe that this is some grandiose plan to reduce the global population from where it's at to under this mark so that it's more easily achievable, so that everything else in this list is more easily achievable, so that we can all live in a perfect harmony with a one world order, yada, yada, yada. Look, I personally think that, I mean, look, I don't even know where to go with this. I'm only bringing up the Georgia Guidestones because every time there's some sort of virus or pandemic or some sort of scare, everybody starts rushing back to the Georgia Guidestones. This is it. This is what's going to take out the whole population. And, the Georgia Guidestone says it all, right? It says a lot of stuff. To me, this is almost like the Bible. The Bible says all kinds of stuff. Stone your wife if she shows her face. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. I'm making that up. I know it says something about stoning people, or stoning women. I mean, there's so many different things that are said in the Bible that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all fact, it's all true, it's all words to live by, right? You're talking about just overall, I'm not really that concerned. It's a nasty thing. We obviously need to get it contained, but I don't think it's the beginning of the end of the world, or it's not. I don't necessarily believe that the coronavirus is a man-made virus that is. I thought it was a bit of a coincidence initially until I started reading more into it. I thought it was a bit of a coincidence that, given that we're having all of this trade war with China and the US, that suddenly they just bust out in this, potential pandemic. And maybe there still is something to it. I don't know if it's coincidence or not. But I don't think anybody's ushering in the new world order through the coronavirus. I guess that's the whole point there. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Now, I did want to look at the market a little bit. Let me refresh this. I was doing some calculations recently, and I think moving forward, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start doing a series of project price prediction videos, and then I'll put those out. I might just do one a day for the next week and a half or so as I'm working on some other things, and then I may pop on live here and there. So just expect that. And if you really want a price prediction video, you want me to go in, look at a project. And when I do these price prediction videos, ultimately I'm looking at certain metrics of the past. I'm looking at where the product or the project is now. Where's the team? What are they doing? Are they making steady progress forward? Are they stagnant? Like, where's the project? Which ultimately will help me kind of get an understanding as to what percentage of the overall market cap they may be able to acquire between now and the time the total market cap reaches $1 trillion. And so that's what I'm basing my price predictions on. So if you have, if you have products or projects, I keep saying products. I've been doing a lot of product research and a lot of stuff with stuff that I'm working on for you guys. I just don't want to say a lot about it yet. But the projects, let me know in the comments. I also wanted to basically let you guys know that I did a video, this morning actually, that was released about Chainlink and my Chainlink price prediction. And I asked the question, when I see a lot of YouTubers out there and they do these really short, chopped up, cut up videos that are straight to the point. A lot of people are reading scripts, and it's like, it's very impersonal, but it's easier to produce and make these videos look really, really good and presentable, right? And I see so many different people doing it, good, bad, or ugly, and they get a lot of views. And I do a lot of random videos, all one way or another, pretty much crypto related, or at least the end goal is to get people exposed to cryptocurrency. And I put out the question this morning, what do you guys expect from me? Like, do you guys just like the way I do things, just more of a free form conversation where I talk about everything? I'm known to ramble and rant and everything else. Or would you prefer it if I did these very structured script reading type videos? And the response that I got from you guys was truly inspiring. It wasn't what I expected. I mean, I would say 99% of you commented about just keep doing what you're doing. That's why I'm here. And I was looking at my channel metrics, and I was, I've talked to so many of you. I talk to you guys on Telegram. I talk to you guys on Twitter. I talk to you guys all over the place. I've done business with some of you. I've done all sorts of stuff. And And a lot of you guys are customers of like Crow Mining or Crow Trader. Some of you guys are absolutely brilliant. I mean, and there's just, I've come to realize that, and I honestly, while I don't get, 25 or 30,000 views every time I put out a video, I also realize that I don't have a lot of angry kids watching my videos ready to burn the world down. Like a lot of my viewership a lot of you guys are older, family people, hardworking, just looking for ways to improve your life. You're intelligent, you're driven, you're motivated, and while there may not be a zillion of you tuning into my videos because I don't have a lot of flash and trash, you tune in for me, which is, I hate it when people say humbling, but I will say it's at the very least extremely heartwarming. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you too. And thank you for joining me in my efforts on YouTube to try and educate people as best I can while I'm making my way in this wild west. And I'm just very, very grateful for each and every one of you. I'm going to leave it there because I'm not going to get emotional tonight because I got stuff to paint. So I will see you again. I should see you again tomorrow. I'll probably be putting out a price prediction video tomorrow and more to come from there. So let me know what projects you're wanting me to look up, and I will try to get, even if I do 2 or 3 in one video, depending on how many comments are down below. And I'll see you again soon. Curl your coins and have a good day. See ya.